I think all of your favorite artists are finito and finished. I don't think none of these people are making any coin from the music business. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's kind of what I've been saying.
I
That's
think
why
it's
they finding
much.
other avenues to get their money.
I think it's much.
I was just about to say, the co-host said they have to explore other avenues to get their money. Exactly. So what else are musicians, artists having to do in order to make money because they're just not making it in the industry?
Worse than we letting on. We don't even have no way to get this type of information because it's all at the tippy top, and we don't talk to each other.
And it's tech games.
They gearing up for whatever is to come, and they're a lot earlier than I knew.
They've been playing. They've been playing for years. Like seeing the big press outlets bigging up certain types and styles of music has been an indicator to me, where musicianship, performance, like actually being good at being a musician, has been cast aside for years and years and years, but slowly getting worse. It's kind of opening the door for AI everything, essentially.
So
They've been building up to
And do you remember there was an AI rapper, it was literally just a year or something ago, that had been launched, had a whole persona. Oh, what was the name? Oh, people had such a problem with them. Yeah, they've been dripping this slowly. Like, that's not dripping, that's crumbling. But they've been crumbling this for a long time to get people sort of used to not being so attached to an artist in particular, but to a genre and a style of music. Because if you think about it, if it's being streamed or shared on social media, there's no artist there. It's just the sound. When TikTokers are dancing to it, they're just dancing to the sound. So you get attached to a sound far more than you do an artist.
They are a lot earlier.
They started this back a half decade ago, maybe a decade ago.
Than I could have ever imagined. I'm with you. I think there's a focus on streaming. AI, I think there's a focus on just replacing you guys, the
Human
artists.
beings, right?
Yeah.
The artists. They got, I think there's a focus on the world music, Latin and country and all of whatever their hot genre is. What else do I think? I just think rap is cast aside. The 50 years of hip hop told me that. How much of the pie there even is to distribute amongst artists tell me that. The way albums don't drop anymore tells me that. All of you artists getting your money from somewhere else tells me that. Last year, no number one hip hop album for however long tells me that.
6-7
The
months.
number ones that came tells me that. Travis, Uzi, Drake. There's only 7. There's 7 rappers that they focus on. Some because y'all are truly talented and make people all the money in the world. Some because too many people have their hand in your pocket to let you fail. But everybody else, if you're not getting it touring or if you're not getting it through other means.
Acting, forget merch and all that kind of stuff, because that's all attached to the musical performance, and even that's been compromised. But acting, gaming, longer pieces of content, longer form, pivot. It's OVER. And it's sad for me as an 80s baby, and having worked in the music industry as well in my 20s, and then on the outskirts in my 30s, now my 40s, sort of doing some work on the business side. It's revealing.
This music shit is a rap. I'm saying all of the musicians are broke. Relative to what you bring in.
Now, I do
Yes.
think that there is plenty of ways to make money as independents.
Absolutely. And I remember when I did the interview with Odyssey, who's an independent musician, rapper, producer from Washington back in 2016, 2017. And all of the interviews and conversations I had with artists after that, a lot of them would say, you just got to have your cult following, just have your 100,000 minimum, who will always buy a ticket, who will always buy some kind of merch and support your maneuvers, and then you're good. But it's still a humble income. It's not some big income, right?
Overhead. It's not expensive to make these albums. You're making them at home or wherever, and you're building a reasonable fan base, and you're selling physical and merch. Not everyone is broke, but in terms of like the superstar thing, I agree with you.
But like you said, to what you're bringing in, what you get.
Yeah, and then if you were tuned in at all to any kind of British music recently, Gets, UK independent artist, still independent, got like a legacy award at the Brits. It was the Brits, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the Brits. And has still continued to work, perform, but also does a lot of behind the scenes work as well. But yeah, not like on a Grammy stage, but the Grammys is engineered. I was gonna say fake as, so you've got to mix it up and not in the usual ways, like, oh, you got to do some merch and you got to do some this and a bit of social media. No, you've got to get behind the scenes as an artist. You've got to diversify. You've got to be really smart. You can't have everything sort of resting on the listener, because if the listener's listening and streaming your music and then they're also the fan and is also then buying your merch, that's still your reliance. That's not, those aren't separate streams. That's one stream. Yes, they might be picking different things, but they're still coming from that one stream. That's why you need to diversify. That's where people get a little bit confused when they're starting out.
And my conversation now is not really about independent acts.
Yeah, okay.
My conversation is about what's going on in the majors. They tricking y'all with the words in these contracts. They tricking y'all into thinking that y'all are real partners. They tricking y'all with the, hey, you own your stuff. The recent layoffs tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see all these people getting laid off?
They laid off all over.
They laid off like 40%,
Everywhere.
right?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Media too.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And look, and to me, based on what you're saying, that went to our AR conversation. Mm-hmm. The second that we can have 6 people instead of 60, y'all gone. Mm-hmm. Y'all are expendable, especially if we getting anywhere near the same production that we had or the same money and revenue that we had when it was 60 of y'all gone.
They're telling you it's not about y'all, it's about the tech.
Yeah.
What do you think the next step was from streaming farms? From Napster, really.
I think they kicking themselves in the ass. Remember when they rolled out the rapper like a couple years ago, the AI rapper?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And streaming, this is the AI rapper that I was talking about earlier on in the episode. And streaming farms, that is wild.
I think they kicking themselves in the ass because they rolled it out wrong. Mm-hmm. They rolled it out disrespectfully to where they had to shelf that shit. Remember they had him in jail?
Yeah.
AI rapper dude. I think they rolled them out wrong. I think if they would have rolled them out in a different manner.
Mecca. Maneka. What was his name?
And the music was good, I think that shit would have took off. They just rolled him out in jail with tattoos, getting beat up by the cops and all of that. Mm-hmm. It was a bad presentation.
But that's going to be a problem with AI and anything.
FN Mecca.
Kind of algorithmic computer generated is that they're going to get a lot of shit wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think that they had to shelf that project.
Oh, for sure.
Because of the disrespect to the community.
Of course.
I think if they would have did that different, they would have been expounding upon that for the last year.
Of course.
They now have K-pop American.
That's crazy.
A-pop.
Serious.
K-A-pop.
None of what I'm saying is a joke or a game.
K-A-pop.
No.
K-pop was K-pop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now it's American K-pop.
But
So is it Korean Americans?
yeah, like I'm confused.
All right, let me help you. Here we go. I got something for you.
Korean American.
Completely.
This is going to be a perfect illustration of my point earlier about people being attached to a sound rather than an artist.
Insane, but did you know that there exists a niche genre of 90s R&B and hip hop songs remade by early 2000s UK pop stars?
Oh my God!
Take it out, make it stop.
Oh shit! Turn this off. My point
How they
is,
could do that though?
Why? What
Because
you
whoever
mean?
owns the shit is selling it or giving them.
No, you could cover a song without having to do anything. You just have to pay the mechanical
saying.
royalties to the artist. You don't have to get permission to cover a song.
And you can sell it.
You got to pay
Yes.
the royalties.
You got to
right?
pay the royalty, whatever
Got
you
it.
make from the song, the mechanical royalty, which is set by Congress, a rate. You got to pay that out to the artist that
Oh, it's
wrote
set
the
by
song.
somebody else,
Correct.
a third party.
By Congress. It is statutory. It is a law.
Oh, so
The songwriter gets mechanical rate from every song sold. I don't know how that exactly translates with streaming, but I'm sure it has something to do with whatever 1,500 equals one
whatever.
stream or whatever.
so you only negotiate
it's-
your shit.
No.
I think it's really advantageous
That's scary, dog.
for record labels to be able to repurpose their entire catalog this way.
Yeah.
And I think that TikTok and some other techie shit
I think it's actually a good
has
thing, though.
shown record labels, not for humans.
Was that AI stuff
That's exactly what I said. Snap, TikTok.
that you were playing, or was that human beings?
No, those are
redoing
human
it?
No,
beings.
these were some Koreans.
No, that's
that was
UK.
from London.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
That's a good thing.
God.
UK pop.
People doing cover songs is a good thing for the music business. It supports human songwriters that wrote the songs. It refreshes the songs like Fast Car with the country shit. Like cover songs are a good thing to happen in music. I think it's actually been a problem that it hasn't been happening in the past 15 years. Is everyone's trying to create something new, whereas in the past you leaned on some creative shit from the past and made fucking.
But they ain't even changing nothing in what he played.
No, it's a couple.
Well, I mean, like that's a cover.
I know. I'm just. It's like literally.
But you could
exact-
play in the 50s or whatever. You could play a Frank Sinatra and whoever the fuck else singing the same exact song in the same exact way, just by a different artist. It's not different.
I don't necessarily love the cover idea. I
not a fan of that.
love what you're saying, but for that to be great, then the business needs to be right initially. And for many artists, it is not.
That's true.
Also, with the covers, you run the risk of Elvis and James Crocker, or who was that? Who was that? The Elvis?
Not Joe Cocker.
Yeah, I have a brain freeze right now. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yes, I do.
You run the risk of that.
What happened with, like, I'm not familiar with Elvis. So what do you mean?
He covered black songs essentially and stole black culture.
Okay.
Is the
that part.
is what he's
Okay.
alluding to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got it.
New Joe Budden.
So interesting. Hi, Lost Night for the Cross. Hello. Yeah, so there you have it. I really wanted to share this because I just think it's really useful for us, especially for creatives, creators who are sort of like trying to navigate this whole space, and you're sort of like looking to hustle or looking to what's the word, build momentum and do all the things that you think that you have to do, but that's based on the old model, right? So now it's like going a completely different direction. So for a period of time, when we went from buying physical, tangible products to streaming and then having to get your streams up, and then we've got the whole like streaming farm situation. But now even that is not necessary because it's all very artist dependent. Why are record labels going to put their finances in a human that can be temperamental when they can create a sound themselves using their existing catalogs? And I have a question that I'm going to reply to in a second. But record labels can rely on their existing catalog of music that they can manipulate, distribute. But then also with AI, they can create their artists. Like it's already happening with social media. I mentioned the rapper FN Mecca, but as they rightly said, it was rolled out completely wrong. Lost Night for the Cross asks, how do you view the development of music over the past 150 years? Well, since I wasn't born 100 something years ago, but yeah, just in terms of from my knowledge, being an 80s baby, it's been for a long period of time. Obviously you had everything on vinyl, and then we went to CD, um, and then eventually, we remember like mini discs, and I remember my mini disc player. That was like revolutionary. I remember my USB stick then. And there's just so many sort of different like phases. Um, so I guess I'm looking at it from a distribution perspective, in terms of the development. In terms of taste, that's dictated by the user, unfortunately. And so you've got the sort of mainstream music industry, and then you've got musicians. So there's like a bit of a separation there. There are so many musicians I absolutely love and that I've even worked with in the past that are not part of the sort of structure or the mainstream music industry. And you how I feel about the development of music, just sort of from a musician, artist, creative perspective, beautiful, stunning. There've been so many fusions and collaborations that have taken place over the decades. Um, but then looking at the music industry, it's a hot mess. It's a mess. So, yeah, I don't know. Like personally, I wouldn't. I mean, taking all the sort of like almost if you were to take any sort of advice from that video that we just watched, it would be do not look at making a career with a record label in the music industry that is, um, however it sort of basically evolves. If you want to be an independent artist, then definitely diversify, but much more diversification compared to the past. Because, as I said, when we went from sort of like the traditional way of buying music and then we went into streaming, already artists had to pivot. So the pivot is going to be very different, to the point that, as if you were to sort of agree with what they were saying in that episode, the artists will actually get removed. Um, there'll be a recreation. Thank you, Lion King, for coming through. I appreciate you and your support. So yeah, it's just another really good sort of like microcosm slash case study for us to consider when we're looking at how media and tech evolves, and then what the impact will be on the sort of user. It's almost, in terms of sort of like behavioral science, if you wanted to look at how the music industry will develop, you have to look at how users are behaving. And they're very much detached from the actual artist, and they're much more attached to a sound, as I was saying earlier, or a style, or a mood, or an image. And that can be recreated without an artist, I have another question, and that is from Wazuo. Says, what's your view on the symbolism used by many larger artists? I feel like you're trying to get me into an Illuminati conversation. You're trying to get me into Illuminati question. I'll come back to that in a second. I forgot to. I didn't see your response last night. Well, I do believe that the music industry is largely determined by the listeners, but not the listener, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, sort of like data. It's like the most streams and now users on TikTok and apps like TikTok, where you will get sort of a great deal of sort of like placement, like so you can place music through sponsorship partnership and then just have that used so much, and it really helps the label more than anything else, much more than anything else, because it's not like people are loving the music that they're sort of sampling and then seeking out the artist to go and support them independently. If anything, they're just going to go and stream, and that's going to benefit. That's going to benefit the record label, the corporation rather. So let's come back to your question, because it looks like it's a popular question. What's your view on the symbolism used by many large artists? I think it's all suspect, and that's why I don't necessarily support larger artists anymore. I'm not a fan of them. I find most of the content that comes out from those artists to not necessarily be inspiring or moving the needle in any way. And if they do, then it's within a program of their own sort of agenda. There's something going on there. So yeah, I'm just not, personally speaking, I'm a real fan of a whole range of independent artists that cross genres. And so when I see what bigger artists are doing, I know what they're appealing, who they're appealing to. Like, take the really bizarre, contradictory speech given by Jay-Z at the Grammys. In the same breath, he says the Grammys are shit, but then he's also telling artists to keep grinding because they'll eventually be on the stage like him. I just thought this really bizarre, contradictory message to be sharing. And it also just sort of confirmed to me what sort of like the messaging revealed about his stance and his vision. There's a response here from a lost night. Well, in the sense that as a group, we have been conditioned to appreciate empty, degenerate music, which, as my brother on YouTube pointed out, is not entirely coincidentally bursting with occult symbolism. So we have been conditioned to appreciate empty, degenerate music, especially when it's been, I don't know what generation you are, but if you're a younger gen that is a heavy TikTok and Snap user, then that will constantly imprint itself on you through repetition. And it's very powerful and then damaging, because it's not like you're sort of like deciding to play some vinyl. You're every time you're picking a phone up, every time you're interacting with your friends or whoever, you're hearing the same sound and music just getting perpetuated. And you're a 19-year-old that likes Wagner. That's wonderful. And degenerate, yes. And you're agreeing with Wazuo, who said that, I was talking about sort of like the more sinister side of things, and you call it occult symbolism. It is really strange. I find it all really strange. There was something recently about Lady Gaga, who decided to partner some random pharmaceutical cosmetics company. It's just all so suspicious, and it's like, and people just eat it up. They just absolutely love it. I am reading Lion King's comment. I find listening to music for more than 15 minutes a day soul destroying and mood ruining. Gosh, what kind of music are you listening to? It depends what kind you listen to, I guess. Music is a frequency, and if it's a rubbish frequency, then that's what it's going to do to you. I'm sure a lost night will say, well, if you listen to Wagner or something else, then yeah, you'll probably be elevated rather than have your mood ruined. So I think we also have to appreciate sort of different ways of looking at music and appreciating it. and thinking about its frequency and vibrations and how that impacts us. But if I try to have that conversation with somebody who is a heavy TikTok and Snapchat user, they'll just be like, what are you talking about? Lion King says any music, as I have many sensitivities. Fair enough. Fair enough. I think it really helps to like to sort of unplug completely anyway, even if it's good music, even if it's good content. If I'm taking a walk, I just won't have headphones and AirPods in. Just like do without some noise, even if it's good noise. A Lost Night says Wagner nourishes the soul instead of denying the soul. That's why I listen to an opera for 4 hours with joy and pleasure. That's incredible. Actually, I haven't heard any Wagner in a while. Don't think I ever really spent any time sort of dedicated to listening to that genre of music. It's probably just only ever happened by accident, so I might look into it myself. Spend some time just kind of like cleansing the palate. Some genres of music really do just sort of cleanse your palate, and discovering new music and artists that cleanse your palate is just, it's just phenomenal. It's divine. And I do really enjoy artists like Cleo Soul, who um, is always creating music with a sort of not coalition, but like a creative unit, if you like, that includes a producer called, what's his name? I can only think of his Instagram handle, but it's also her partner, and he creates for a group also called Salt, SAULT. Lion King says, I miss when people used to speak to randoms on the bus, and everyone has got AirPods in and they ignores each other. It is really sad, especially considering that I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and bus fare used to be coins, used to be 15p to get a bus, and we'd get a ticket, be like a little white strip of paper with little like letters on it in red, like print. And you'd always have to have a book. Like, you need a book for your commute.